I would like to welcome everyone to Lotus Flower Wellness Temple. I'm going to start out by doing a sage burning, just clear the energy. I'm just going to let it keep on burning over here. So we're going to start today with doing the Sambucho chant. And that's okay if you don't know it. I will take the lead and you can just repeat the second part after I do the first part. So, and if you just hum along or whatever you do, that's perfectly fine too. I understand that maybe not everybody knows it, so just enjoy. We lost our feed. It's okay. We can just be patient. Okay. Sangi Alrighty. I want to thank everybody for coming. This means a lot to me, and I'm doing what I'm very passionate about, which is helping and healing people and helping people be guided back to their own personal truth and finding joy and happiness in their life now. So there are ways of thinking and just really simple kind of aha moments when you realize those, you can start to make little shifts and changes that really do affect your life on a grand level. And so being aware of those really can give you a real good shot at having some happiness and really finding your soul's path and purpose here in this lifetime. And that's my passion and my joy is to help people reach that. You know, enlightenment is something that's a lifelong process and it continually happens. Okay, so I would like to welcome you as well as I would like to welcome the Buddhas of all time. So here we go. We respectfully welcome Amida Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome Sakyami Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome the Buddhas of all times and places to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. So I would like to go over the 6 paramitas. First, there's giving. May I be generous and helpful. Guidance. May I be guided by the Buddhist precepts. Tolerance. May I regard the mistakes of others with sympathy. Perseverance. May I do my best in all things. Meditation. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. And then insight. May I understand the meaning of Namu Amida Butsu. So now we're going to go over the Buddhistvada vows, okay? So, beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's way is unsurpassable. I vow to become it. So before we get into our lesson for today, we are going to be talking more in alignment with the Noble Eightfold Path. But first I would like for everyone to just take a few minutes to do a body scan meditation with me. Before we start that, I want to do a little breath work to kind of get us into the mode of focusing. So what we're going to do is the infinity breath. Some of you may not know what it is, some of you may. So I'll explain for those that don't. So the infinity breath is breath work where you're going to kind of shape your breath, your in and out breath like a figure 8, like an infinity sign. The first start we're going to do with our first breath, we're going to consider it our downward loop. And we're going to just push out all that stale old air and energy out of our body, out of our system. And then we'll pause kind of as we loop to the center. We'll kind of pause and observe our center there. And then when we breathe back in the upward loop, we're just going to envision cosmic light, creator light, oneness, just all coming back together and just unifying back again with us, because we are also that. So then we'll hold that center again. And then this time on the downward loop, we're just flowing that all together. Our essence with essence of oneness, because that's who we are. Clearing out all that old stale energy that is now gone and just flowing the abundance of that light, harmony, joy, connection to oneness, connection to all. So when you're ready, let's go. And you can gently close your eyes if you wish. So we're going to start with the downward loop, blowing all of our stale air and energy out. Hold in the center. And then breathe in all that divine light. And hold in the center. Downward loop. And just get into your own flow. Just focus. Follow the breathing in your mind's eye and just keep flowing and feeling that harmony, that lightning feeling where your just body just feels light as air. Just do it several times and just feel that energy flowing through your body. Okay, and so while everyone's in this feeling right now, we're just going to go right on into our body scan meditation. We're going to start at our toes, our roots that connect to the earth. Just feel your toes and your feet as you breathe, and you just feel the sensation of the air flowing, that energy flowing through your feet, your toes. You feel your feet touching the floor and connecting to the earth. Just breathe that energy in and pull up that energy. Just let it rise up and come up your legs as you just continually breathe into it, just pulling that energy up and rising that energy. That feels good, right? Just keep pulling the energy up. Now it's at our hips. Just breathe into that. Keep circulating that air and energy throughout your body and feel it rising up. And then you're going to come into where it's in your throat. Your shoulders are getting more relaxed. It's coming into your third eye. Just flow that breath coming into your crown chakra and pushing outwardly. And just keep breathing and flowing that energy for as long as you like. Just take your time. Y'all are welcome to come in. I'm having temple service online, but you're more than welcome to come in and look around. Yes, absolutely. But I'm still going to be doing my service. But yes, yes, absolutely. Come on in. I love that. All right, so just everybody keep that breath work going and just focus on your body. Just take a minute with that. Make yourself at home.
service do you do?
So I am.
So like Reiki?
Well, right now we're doing, so I'm about to start teaching some Buddhist principles that help people stay more in the now. You are welcome to join.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it online?
It's also online, but y'all can have a seat. We just did the breath work and the meditation, and so now we're gonna go into the message today.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can sit as long as this one will.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Because
Come
we
on
have
in.
been looking for a place that we can
Yeah.
do it at because we just moved here.
Oh, awesome. Well, you are more than welcome. Have you ever meditated, little one?
No, you haven't.
Well, you want to try?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to we had some people join, which we love. So we're going to backtrack just a hair and everybody do the body scan meditation now that y'all are here. So I always start with what's called the infinity breath. You know how a number 8 goes like this?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're breathing, I want you to imagine that you're breathing like a number 8, okay? And the first breath is going to be the bottom part of the 8, okay? So we're going to go blow all of our air out. Get all that stale air out.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then stop when you get out of breath and have it be up here in your center. And then close your eyes and just imagine like rainbow colors, just beautiful colors coming into your body. And so much good energy. And then hold that in the center. And then now you just want to flow with that breath and just keep focusing on that figure 8. And breathe in and out. And you can have your own pace. You can do it exactly how you like. And your body may start to feel a little tingly and nice. And you can just kind of shake, shake, shake. And then now we're going to go into the body scan. So you can just keep your eyes closed. And as you're breathing, focusing on that breathing, just feel your toes. Your toes touching the ground and connecting to the earth. And just feel them kind of, you can even wiggle them. And just feel that energy of the breath coming up. And you'll just have that energy. Just keep pulling it up with your breath. And just pull it up through your body. You feel it rising up. And now it might be in your hips or in your chest area. And you just keep flowing with that as you're breathing. You're pulling that energy upwardly. And now put some focus in your throat area. And if you feel like going or anything like that, that's perfectly fine. And there you go. And then pull the energy up to your third eye, to your forehead there. And you may feel a little tingly as you breathe into that. And then just feel all the energy just go right out through your head. And just keep breathing into that. Awesome, you did your first meditation. Yes, we call that the body scan meditation.
Wow, that was great.
Welcome.
Yeah, I had a headache when I came in and now it's gone.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
good.
That's
I'm
perfect.
centered.
Yes, that's perfect. So, what we've been talking about is the Noble Eightfold Path in Buddhism. And so Buddhism is not a religion, it's a way of life, things that you can be more aware of that can help guide you on your path to finding harmony and less suffering. A lot of times we bring that on ourselves by projecting our past onto our new artwork, kind of the now. So when we can be more aware of that and work through the path, and be more aware of certain things, you really can spare yourself a lot of disappointment and suffering that comes with projecting everything onto the now. The now is a perfectly pure, beautiful moment filled with all kinds of gifts of knowledge. But what we do is we take the past and just kind of go ahead and dirty up that canvas. And we don't need to do that. And life is much more smooth sailing when we don't. So we are going to get right into the message here. So the part of the Noble Eightfold Path that we're talking about today is right effort. So right effort in the Buddhism teachings refer to the practice of diligently cultivating positive qualities and actively working to abandon the negative ones. So of course, over the course of lifetime, we've created some bad habits, right?
Yeah.
But it's only because we did them over and over. So when we can become aware of them and replace, we call them unskillful, the ones that aren't getting us where we want to go and that aren't contributing to mankind in a loving way. We call them in Buddhism unskillful. So when you can realize the alternative to that is a skillful action, it just takes a little while to continually practice that to where that becomes your new routine, right? So kind of paying attention, focusing where you have been doing, kind of training yourself that that's the way that you should be living your life, and then becoming aware of those and making those changes to do something skillful in its place. And that's what the right effort really is about, is being aware of that and focusing on what works for you. That's going to be on a skillful note for you. So essentially applying mindful, balanced effort to developing good habits and reducing harmful ones is what we're considering this part of the Noble Eightfold Path. And it emphasizes the idea of neither trying too hard or rather like, overly trying and just burning yourself out and then just not giving any effort. The way that we find this harmony is in that middle path. So more in alignment with, you know what to do, you're actively doing it, but then not just to throw everything aside and be like, I'm just not doing anything else but this. I'm going to meditate for 3 days straight and not eat or anything. So the Buddha found that his path and the path that we teach was achieved to its fullest measure in the middle path. So he did originally start out following a monk and basically starved himself for a very long time, was meditating for weeks at a time, and he did come to the conclusion that wasn't the way that he was reaching enlightenment. But then when he decided to go out on his own and do what actually felt right and worked for him, as opposed to just copying what everyone else did, that's where he found true enlightenment. And so that's what we teach here today. So the middle way, so not overly doing it, but definitely putting in enough effort to make these changes. So key points here about right effort is focusing on the middle way. Right effort is not about pushing yourself to the extremes. It's about finding a balanced approach to cultivate good qualities and let go of negative ones, right? Right. So have you ever had a playmate that you were playing with and maybe you grabbed your toy back and was like, that's mine. But then well, no, you what? Okay, that's good then. Well, sometimes people do things like that, and what they discover is that they don't feel real good about it afterwards and stuff. And so later they're like, oh, I should have been nicer. So that's what we're talking about, is trying to be the best that you can be, so that you're happy with yourself, you're happy with your actions. And if you can think of like a garden that's growing, right? You'd like to see beautiful flowers in the garden, right? Instead of a bunch of weeds in there, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're trying to work on here, is getting some of those weeds out that life has kind of trained us up in, and trying to be like everybody else. So we just get all these weeds that we're not happy with. So we're talking about going and doing some gardening in our life, essentially, is what we're talking about, little one. All right, so the 4 aspects of right effort: preventing unwholesome states from arising, abandoning unwholesome states that have already arisen, cultivating wholesome states that are not yet present, and maintaining and developing wholesome states that are already present. So again, being aware of where you are now. The Buddhist teaches that doesn't matter what you did yesterday. The way that karma works is, if you can think of an ocean, saltwater ocean, and you pour 1 glass of pure water into that saltwater ocean, it's not going to be enough to change it, right? But if you continually add more of that fresh water in there and whatnot, your area is going to be consumed with more of that freshness. So with that being said, you do have to get on the path and start changing your your participation in this world and the things that you put out, but you can change some of the karma that you've brought into your life by changing the way you do things as of today. So, which is a beautiful thing, because a lot of people are like, oh, you don't know what kind of life I've lived. And that's not the point. It's when we become aware of the things that we have been doing that are not bringing us joy, that are not, you know, helping out humanity to come back together as one, that is not wholesome or skillful, then we just become aware and kind of catch ourselves, like how we, you know, work with children to realize certain things that they're doing that might not be beneficial for them. But it doesn't just take one time to tell them, right? We have to kind of stay on them for a little bit. But eventually, as long as we get it every single time, then after a while, they won't even test us in that way, because they know we're gonna get onto them about that and try to correct them. So the same with ourselves, but we have to do that work with ourselves and to let ourselves go, hey, we're serious about this. And so when we catch ourselves doing certain things, that's a moment of choice where we can say, oh, that keeps coming up for me. Okay, thank you. Instead of being like, you know, I stink at this. Wow, that's an opportunity for growth. Thank you. Thank you for presenting this to me. Thank you for a lot. And it's really you allowing yourself to see. But a lot of people kind of put blame on other people. Oh, that's this person or that person. So being honest and real with ourselves is kind of a starting point too. And at this part in the wheel, we've covered a lot of ground. We're at the 6th spoke of the wheel of the Noble Eightfold Path. And we can always catch you up for certain. You can watch the past videos that I've created and whatnot. And of course, I'll do more teachings on them. But I just want to let you know that, just to touch base, you start out with right view. Right view is all about how, like, your belief systems, the things that you might not have chose for yourself and you just grew up in, and that's your belief system, because that's where your reactions come from. Every single one of your reactions are tied directly to a belief that you have. So the first start of the path is being aware of what your belief systems are. Like, what do you actually resonate with? And stop just taking what you've been told and actually kind of do a little work with it and say, do I really resonate with this? And if you don't, be okay with setting it aside and living by your own personal truths of what you feel and resonate with. And that is really the start of it, because that's where a lot of our kind of getting off the path, because we're trying to live in somebody else's way. We're trying to, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's the number one part of getting yourself back in your path and walking in this path, is becoming aware of what you did not choose for yourself and setting that straight. Setting what you believe in, because once we speak it, somebody speaks it to us, we believe that that's something that we believe in, right? But when you analyze it and go back and check it out a little bit, if you resonate, you'll know you do. And if you don't, then be okay with setting it aside and moving on. But so just to kind of touch base on that, that's really where it starts. But right now, with the right effort, we're talking about, and then that also goes back to that, because that takes effort, right? To do an inventory of your belief systems. It takes effort. So everything kind of works together, but that really is the starting point. And so when I say effort, to do some meditation once a day, absolutely wonderful. But before then, we need to be more aware, whether it's in a quiet meditation or not, but in your actual now moment, it's being more aware of what is the divine showing me. What is my reality right now spotlighting for me to see? Because there's messages and there's blessings in it all. Every moment can be a teacher for you and shedding some light on something that is the divine's trying to show you. So paying more attention to your interactions with people. If you meet somebody and you got a little like, ooh, I didn't really vibe with them. A lot of times it's a mirror situation. There's something that they're displaying in their energy that's reminding you of something that you had to tuck down, or that you tucked down
Like
for other
self-reflecting.
people. Yes, for other people to accept and like you, so you wouldn't get in trouble, so you wouldn't be cast out. And so that's where we create our darkness, is by taking parts of our authentic truth, shoving them down because it doesn't fit up with what everybody else wants from you. But that's not your truth. It's not, you're not being authentic if you don't allow those parts to be you. So, just keeping that in mind. So in order to progress on the Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path, effort must be exerted. One cannot simply just sit back and wait for something to happen. One has to participate and work at it. To some people, that means working very, very hard. And sometimes, like a lot of times, especially in the West, we're taught here that we have to work really, really hard to accomplish things that we're set out for our goals. And in a lot of other places in the world, that's not how the teachings go. It's just something big in the States, especially. But finding your groove and your balance and everything will come naturally when you start to pay more attention to, first of all, who am I? What do I stand for? What do I really believe in? Because up till you do this work for yourself, you're literally just a creation of the environment that you were around. Your parents didn't mean to. Society just continues to do what society does, and we just keep copying and doing it again and keeping the cycle going. The only way to get off that cycle is to take your power back by analyzing, discerning your own truths, and starting from there.
Okay.
So let's continue from this place. Let me get this. I've got a nice little video here, a little short, to kind of give you some other perspectives as well.
Right effort in Buddhism is all about putting your energy into what's wholesome and uplifting. It's the drive to avoid negative thoughts and actions while nurturing positive ones. Every day we face choices, and right effort helps us make the ones that lead to peace and growth. It's about being mindful and staying committed to improving ourselves. Whether it's letting go of anger or developing compassion, right effort keeps us on the path of awakening. It reminds us to stay focused on our goals, even when challenges arise. With right effort, we continuously plant seeds of kindness, wisdom, and mindfulness. This practice helps clear the mind and open the heart, allowing us to walk the path of peace. Keep pushing forward, staying strong in your practice. Right effort is the fuel that leads to true transformation. Right effort in Buddhism is all about putting your energy into what's wholesome and uplifting. It's the
All right. So yeah, that pretty much just summed up what I said there. It really is like we are like what we think does come to play in our lives. And so if you take some kind of responsibility for stewarding your energy, your thoughts and everything, and you do, that's the importance of meditation, is to make sure that you're reminding this whole thing that you are in charge, that you're not just taking a back seat and just being, swept around, that you are an active participant, and then you make room for your higher self to guide you. But your ego has to accept that. That's where this free will thing comes into play here, is that you have to first of all love that part of yourself and remember who you are enough to do the work. So meditation, yeah, for some it might not sound so fun, right? Because there's all these things going on. But that's something that it does help with, just to learn to quiet ourselves a little bit. And that first time you actually have that moment where you're like, wow, I just got some real clarity, and you jump up and start writing stuff down, and you feel like you're all motivated or got the answers that you needed for something else. You'll be real motivated to do it then. But so now it's more of a practice of faith and self-love. There's just so many distractions constantly that try to keep us from that connection. A lot of what we learn, in our religions a lot too, doesn't really dive too deep into our spirituality, truth, our eternal, multi-dimensional, eternal being self that's here with like so much knowledge, and our perfect path is already planned. But of course, we take it in strides of what we can handle and what we allow ourselves to have. So you're still going to get where you're meant to be. Just how long will it take you is the real question here. Because we're all gonna, like, that's just why we're here. But if you can almost think of it as like a school, we're learning how to be responsible creators. And so kind of the Earth School is here to help us to go through these processes and learn from a real authentic way, like in it kind of way. You know, certain things you have to experience. And so it's not enough just to say be a responsible creator. You have to come to that on your own of how important that is to be, and what does that mean? Because somebody could just give you a book and say just do this, and that just is not going to mean nothing to you. It's not true. It's not going to become a truth for you. So that's what the process that we're talking about here, the Noble Eightfold Path, helps you to be go through all the processes one by one and understand how to implement them into your life to really make a real transformation, which I say transformation, but it's actually transforming you back to who you truly are and shining your light here like we're meant to. You know, so many people are worried about dying, but if someone's not authentic and true, you really never started actually living what you came here to do. So that's why this is a really important, best thing you can ever do for yourself is find a discipline that you're, at first, like I said, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. We're talking about basically reprogramming all your programming since however old you are. But when you do start to do it and you see that these new seeds that you're planting are growing beautifully in your garden, well, there's the motivation, but that comes after doing some work, a little bit of work. And just depending on your seriousness, how much you catch yourself. Do you let yourself just keep going on, be like, oh, well, later tonight I'll think about it and maybe I shouldn't have done that, but then tomorrow the situation's going to come up different? Are you going to choose the skillful or the unskillful? So it just really comes down to how much do you want to see your reality transform into this beautiful garden that, like, a lot of people can wait for heaven all they want, but to be honest with you, if it popped up right before them, they wouldn't recognize it. Right. You have to have experience with certain things to even know that you desire those things. So, and in Buddhism, we teach the desire actually is one of the root causes of suffering. So, and I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. It's not necessarily the desire, it's the expectation. So it's great to be a creator, right? Be like, oh yes, I would enjoy this, I would enjoy that. But it's getting your calculations of like your why. Do you want it for a skillful reason? Do you want it so that you can be happier and spread joy and whatever? Or do you want it for so people think you're a great person? Like understanding your reasoning why, and if it's a skillful reason, that those desires are absolutely wonderful. But a lot of times they never get fulfilled because they're tied to an expectation that is out of our hands. But when we let it be to uplift, rise us back to where we're meant to be in our path, in our life, and shining our light authentically, when we align with those things as our desires, so the things that we choose that are in alignment with that, you're trusting that everything is going to come to fruition, and by the way, that's going to honor your highest good and your highest timeline. So therefore, a lot less disappointment, right? Because then you're kind of trusting in your path. And if this thing is going to help accomplish my goals here to walk this path and to add my light into the world to help it and help everyone to experience less suffering from my hands, like at least I'm not the one offering that. I'm offering a wholesome skillful energy versus trying to hurt people because somebody else ticked me off half an hour ago. So it all comes down to that. And when you start to become a little more aware, and you kind of discipline yourself a little bit to take that time to catch yourself, contemplate, start writing a journal, keep up with, you know, what your feelings and thoughts were, what you experienced that day, because you can't really put it all together if you don't keep up with it, right? Because a week from now, you don't even remember what you did on Monday. But if you can keep a little journal, then you can reflect back within a week and say, oh, I see these dots connecting. But it's just in and out if we don't actually make that a part of our practice to get something to analyze. We got to put all these puzzle pieces together.
Being aware and making a situation come true, and also recording it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, keeping up with the work that you're doing, keeping notes of it. You know, I tried this today and I got this experience from it. Okay, well then guess what? If you wouldn't have really kept up with that, you wouldn't have been able to see the experience come to fruition, because maybe the outcome happened a week later, but the work was this week. So by being able to reflect back, you're able to start connecting some dots together about how things are working out for you. So I always recommend, if you don't have a journal, definitely, you know, even if it's just 2 lines at night or whatever, had a great day, met this person, you know, check box, tried to be as skillful as I could, you know, just keep up with some things, and more you'll start to see how everything is coming back together for you.
Right?
Another little video.
And so the essence of the Buddhist teaching is really samayana, this right effort or skillful effort, which is the abandoning, the giving up of the unwholesome, and the developing and the maintaining, perfecting of the wholesome. So this is letting go of negative qualities and developing positive qualities. That's the essence of the whole of the Buddhist teaching.
The practice of right diligence, and how we can nourish the positive seeds on right diligence. But sometimes we hear it as right effort.
So the right effort is learning how to be here instead of going somewhere. Where on earth are you trying to get to?
And so the essence of the Buddhist teaching is really some
I got one more little video here, and then I'm gonna do, if y'all are still gonna be here, I'm gonna do a Reiki attunement.
Okay.
Yes, and you'll like that. There's a bell involved.
Wow. And we should appreciate it.
Yes. Give you a little example.
But it illustrates how they work.
Wow.
So the first of these is to keep bad qualities that we don't find in ourselves from arising. One key practice here is a practice known as guarding the sense doors. This is a skillful way of avoiding things that we really shouldn't be facing.
Guarding the sense
I have
doors.
to
That makes
say
a lot
that
of sense, right?
Many of you will
Like being
know,
more aware
avoidance
of
in
how you're
general is
feeling
not
from
a
moment
good
to moment.
strategy in Buddhism or anywhere. In Buddhism, the goal is eventually not to have to avoid anything, that we allow all of life to enter into us and accept. However, there are aspects of avoidance here that I think are important to keep in mind. Obviously, avoidance does involve a certain kind of ill will towards something, a feeling that something doesn't really belong, that we want to keep it out of our experience. And I think the way a lot of us use avoidance is to avoid essential and necessary aspects of life, such as illness, old age, death, suffering in general. And that's not skillful, because we're going to have to come to terms with those kinds of events, and to avoid them is simply to increase our own suffering. But avoidance can also be skillful at times, as long as we know how to use it properly. For example, we can strive to avoid some kind of unnecessary pain or some unskillful situation that isn't helpful or healthy to us. So, I mean, for example,
You can have that.
when I go to New York, there's a place in New York known as Levine Bakery. They make perhaps the best chocolate chip cookies in the world, at least the best ones I've ever found. And I know that going there is unskillful for me. It's not that I don't want to go there, it's that I know that it's not really healthy for me. So I try as much as possible to avoid going into Levine Bakery. I'm not always successful, and a treat once in a while is not a bad thing, I suppose, but in general, that's the sort of thing we're talking about. Or we might talk about exposing ourselves to social media, or too much time spent perusing the news every day. It may make us grumpy, or irritated, or upset, or depressed in ways that are not, again, not healthy for us. It's unnecessary suffering in that sense. We don't need to expose ourselves to things that are unhealthy for us simply in order to be unhealthy. That's not a good way to live. And this is an example where skillful avoidance makes sense. It will help keep these unskillful states from arising in our minds. Second, we can talk about giving up bad qualities in us that have arisen. So, for example, perhaps what arises in us is some anger, or perhaps a state of depression, sort of feeling unhappy. Then, I mean, there are any number of different kinds of practices we might involve ourselves in, but one of these would be a simple practice of samadhi, of calming meditation, of simply following the breath, of taking some time
We
out.
learned that, didn't
If
we?
we have a half an hour in our day, that would be great. If we only have a few seconds, even that can be useful. Even taking a single long breath at the right time can be very skillful. It can help calm the mind, settle the mind down. It can help dispel some of the anger and irritation that's in us. It can help get us to a place of clearer seeing as to what's in front of us so that we can deal with it in a healthier way. And then the practice is that when the mind wanders back to that ill will, or wanders back to that unhappy thinking, that we pull the mind back to the breath in a gentle fashion. And this is, again, one of many kinds of practices that we can do over a period of time that can help us to relax and lessen those kinds of unskillful states when they've arisen. Third is to produce skillful qualities that haven't yet arisen.
So the breath work that we learned, the infinity breath, you can use that all the time
I like
to
it.
center yourself. It doesn't take long. You're being the master of your energy, of your situation. If you start to feel stressed out, or you're about to go into a big meeting and you don't want to be, have anxiety or whatever, anything that you're going through, you can do that breath work and get yourself back centered. And moreover, you're taking your power back. You're not getting pulled around everywhere. You are saying, hey, I'm in control here. I'm doing this. So, and that's part of us getting to that master. That's enlightenment. Like you've mastered. You've remembered who you were. You put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and you have mastered shining your light. And
Case, we can think of a practice to turn our minds towards somebody who's been good to us in the past, a benefactor, a teacher, somebody who's done us a favor. And by turning the mind to them, it's natural that kindness, a warm feeling of kindness, of love, of appreciation will simply arise within us when we recall that person. In meditation, formal meditation is usually the best way to do this. And then with that kind of mind state of kindness that we've just caused to arise, we can then turn that mind state to other people in our lives and try to preserve that mind state for longer and longer periods of time.
All right,
This
I'm
is
gonna
one of the
stop
ways-
it right there now. So it works a person, an event that you had, maybe your wedding day, like any moment that you have that really brought a lot of joy, happiness, that all your senses were just really, really just having it. You can use those moments in meditation to connect it with different things that you might want to manifest, or different states of mind. So you could, have just had a rotten day and you can kind of feel the energy of the other people and you're like, no, this is not what I want to be doing right now. So you can just do the breathing work, think of something that puts you into another state of mind, and then borrow that energy right back. It belongs to you, right? So then you just shift your, this controls everything. If we don't steward it, it's being controlled by your environment, which is controlled by other people. So these are things that you can do to get back in control of your reality, of what's going on in your nows, and how otherwise you would be reacting. So if you're reacting from that state of the place that was not what you want, you can think of something else that brings you a happier, higher state of energy. Focus on that for a minute, then it's in your body, it's there, and then continue doing what you're doing from that state. But it's not very helpful to try to get out of that state and that feeling by still focusing on that. So we need to change our senses, which is reacting to what our thoughts are, right?
Yeah.
So you just stop focusing on that thing that's not bringing you that good feeling, transform it with something that will, and then use that energy to move forward on whatever your decision will be of what you will do with it. But at least you're not reacting from that energy that's a lower energy and a lower vibration, that you don't want that, right? So it's pretty simple. And by the way, that you can do that. These memories belong to you. You created them. They're experiences. So they're a knowing for you, right? So you can use that to transform your emotional state at any time.
Is that we can practice so as to cause to arise beneficial mind states that we don't find within us. Now, initially, this may seem a kind of a rote practice. Perhaps it won't be convincing to us. But I would say to give it time, just like in the case of samadhi, in the case of mindfulness or breath meditation. These things don't happen immediately. They're not the sort of things that happen in an instant or in one practice or in one day or even in a month. They can take a long time, but they will, I would say we should have confidence that they will eventually bear fruit. Now, fourth, how about protecting, developing, and maturing these beneficial states that have arisen within us? Now, once again, in a sense, this particular practice involves the entirety of the path, that all aspects of the path that are beneficial for us are ones that we're going to want to continue developing and maturing over time. However, I'll pick one example in particular, which is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is, in a certain sense, a sort of an all-encompassing practice that keeps an eye on where we are and what we're doing.
I'm going to take it from here. So, mindfulness, it's just a word, right? Well, it's about, I just took a step. I feel the vibration on my foot. I hear the sound. That's mindfulness, being aware of what we're doing from moment to moment. For instance, you're going through your house looking for something that you misplaced. And along the way, there's all kinds of stuff happening or whatever. You're like very fixated on this one chore or whatever. Now try to go back and remember what else you saw while you were fixated on that one thing you were looking for. Like everything's just like a blur, right? So being mindful is about, okay, there's this, there's that, like every single thing. When you go to wash your hands, touching the faucet, you should have a mental thought, a connection with that I'm touching that faucet. But what we do is we just race right through life and just kind of cutting that part out. And so we're just like brushing our teeth. Okay, it's just a chore, right? Well, it should be something you're mindful about is self-love. You're taking care of yourself. In that moment, you should just be like even rubbing your little cheek in the mirror, just saying, you know, we got this. So being more mindful about everything you do. When you eat, actually eating and feeling each bite and just saying, oh, this is nourishing me so much. You know, it's bringing me energy. What we actually need, because we're energy, we actually need charging versus necessarily like to eat, we need to charge. So being more aware of that, the eating process is actually going to help to charge that even if it's crap food, it's going to be more beneficial to you because you're putting your focus and your awareness and your attention on it. Now, if you're watching TV and you know you got other things going on or whatever, you're not getting that same benefit if you would actually focus on the objective at hand. And so that's what mindfulness is being submerged with your attention and your senses at the same time in the thing that you're actually doing in the moment. Because if you're not, you're missing all the signs and synchronicities around you that are trying to teach and help and guide you. So mindfulness makes sure that we don't pass the things that along our journey while we're looking for that one little thing, right? And all the other stuff that was there, we just ran right past it and can't recall what it was. That's how we miss a lot of our guidance from the divine and from other masters, other energy beings that were here and have done this, that help guide us. We've all got a whole slew of them specifically assigned to just us, depending on where we are on our path, our vibration level, and it changes as we grow upwardly and outwardly, consciousness-wise. So, but you always have help and assistance, and they're always leaving little clues. And they're always there, but the mindfulness is what helps us to be more aware. And when we do implement that and we start using that power of connection, that's when the divine's going to start using more things, more. Oh, they're paying attention now. And would you believe that one of those divine beings are you? Yes, you're always watching out for yourself as well, which is beautiful. And anytime that I've ever gotten to a place that I'm like, you know what, I know that I am looking out for myself. I know that I set a beautiful path for myself. I know that I've got amazing things that I've put into my path. These are things that when you get more connected with your truth, you just know that it's there, and you just have to walk the path to be able to get where you set yourself to be. So it's a really beautiful thing. So these are all very helpful things to know and think about in alignment with right effort. So just remembering too that middle way, not, okay, now we started meditation, we have to do it for 4 hours every day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. That's not what it's about. It's about being mindful and taking time to silence yourself and quiet your mind so that you can learn how to get back to mastering that. It's nothing worse than trying to focus on something and you've got all these thoughts going on, right? And it's just like it's consuming. So learning to control that about yourself is discipline. And it's very obtainable. It just takes some effort. And that's mostly the thing that gets it done is the fact that you're showing your brain the thought process that you're just not just going to run your own little program. This is going to be in alignment with my discernment. This is going to be in alignment with what I'm choosing for my energy and how I want it. It's not just going to be what you've collected data-wise from yesterday and said, oh, well, that's your day today because you thought these thoughts. So, and if you don't watch out, that's what will happen. It'll just be what you're thinking from one now to the next. You're going to start to see some of those things come into play. So what we focus on.
Instead of being
Exactly.
right now.
Exactly. And what we focus our attention on, basically we're telling the divine that that's what we need more of, because we're putting our attention. So if you're putting your attention on negative aspects of things, you're basically saying, I need more of this. So when you take your attention away from that and you find the positive in certain things that you may otherwise have called negative, and moreover felt like was negative, if you could find the blessing in it, if you can find some way it's been a teacher or helped you instead of saying, oh, it's bad, because then you're projecting it as a negative thing. But there's always going to be a positive aspect to everything, something that, oh, well, this didn't happen the way I thought it would, because next week something better is going to come. So if you can replace the negative thoughts and find the positive in situations, you're going to find that it's going to make your life a lot more smooth sailing on this path for certain. All right, so suggest, let's see, let me read this last line too so we can get caught up here. There are many good qualities to be cultivated, but the ones that Buddha particularly targets were mindfulness, investigation of phenomena, right? Not just letting things go and be like, oh, that's just a coincidence.
Right.
You're supposed to look at that and see the divine in it. You're supposed to not cast it off as, oh, that nothing special about that. That was just the light flickered. There must be a electrical surge. That's what we do as humans, right? We make excuses for things that we can't explain.
Right.
So the Buddha teaches that you're supposed to pay attention to those things, and eventually you'll see the truth in it. Also our energy, our joy, tranquility, concentration, and our oneness. You know, if you're ever having a disagreement with somebody and you don't understand where they're coming from, if you could just remember that they're also divine, they're also here on their path, and they're just at a different part of their path with a different type of energy and different experiences, but they are also on their path at the point that they can handle at this point. And so all will eventually be revealed to them. So we don't have to be like, oh, that was just, you know, non-judging. You don't just leave it at that, almost like a little child that doesn't know better on certain things. And learning to have a compassion for that instead of a judgy thing that actually divides us. So more of a compassion. Hi, y'all, welcome. So, so this suggests that we should work and develop mindfulness, paying attention on purpose without judgment to what is occurring in all of our present moments. After all, how are we going to progress on a spiritual path if our minds are lost in thought? So whether it's in the past or the future, if it's in either one of those, it definitely can't be in the now, right? So we need to make sure that we stay in the now as best as we can, unless we're using something from the past to reflect upon our current moment and using it as a tool for growth. Because we can essentially, as we grow in this path, we start to see some things we call negative were actually some of our best helpers to get us where we are.
Yeah.
And so instead of handing out this forgiveness that everybody preaches, it's more about getting to a place where you're grateful for everything that you went through, because without that, you wouldn't be where you are today, sitting right here with me and doing something amazing for your life and your path, and this little one here too. So the point is, there's a time and a place for everything, and but the power and the lessons and the blessings are all right here in this now. So only by being attentive to what is happening right now can we have any hope of seeing things as they truly are? Mindfulness can be developed by engaging in contemplating practices such as meditation, yoga, mindful movement practices, etc. Create like arts and crafts, and doing anything that you have to just go with the flow in, right? That's not like a programmed, okay, I do this and this and this. To sit down and let that creative flow makes this stop working, and you start percolating from here. So any kind of creative work is always good as well. So right effort mandates that we practice to cultivate our mindfulness, but that we do so with energy and striving, but not too much or too little. So we need to practice the middle way. And so with that being said, every week I do some mindfulness homeworks, things that you can maybe start your little journal with. Yeah, so in alignment with what we talked about with right effort. So beyond the meditation practices, right effort can be applied to everyday situations by being mindful of our thoughts and actions, actively choosing positive behaviors, and working to overcome negative tendencies. So the homework would be aware of everything for the next week. Try to be very mindful of what we're doing. We just move so fast that we really don't realize the little things that we do from moment to moment. It's just like all one big kind of race. So becoming more aware of what we're doing in our day-to-day, and seeing those little things that are popping up that we might not have noticed because we weren't looking. And you'll start to see them. You're like, oh, thank you, you're awesome. Instead of somebody being like, why'd you do that? And just say, you're awesome, thank you. You helped me realize. So yeah, that would be our homework. All right, so now this is going to be for you, little one, because I know you are being so patient over there. So we've got something that you'll like here. You can sing.
Namaste. So I want to share something with you that can help you during meditation.
And it's okay if you don't know this. Just you can hum along.
Just
We'll
still your
play it
mind,
more than
quiet
once.
yourself, and allow more access to hear your higher self.
Om Yogena Tutasha Bodhe Nuvajra Padum Travashadi Kena Yom Pakurat Din Rabadam Bodhidam Patanjalayam. Alright, so before I play it again, because I said we would play it again, let me just explain to you what it means. Essentially, you're inviting your higher self, masters, the ones that have accomplished this before us, to be invited into your life, your energy, to be allowed to tap you on the shoulder and point things out. So it's just that invitation, essentially, for your helpers to be able to know, hey, I'm ready to do this work. So let's try again.
Namaste. So I want to share something with you that can help you during meditations, breath work, mindfulness, just to still your mind, quiet yourself, and allow more access to hear your higher self.
Om Yogena Tutasha Bodhe Nuvajra Padum Travashadi Kena Yopakurat Dim Rabadam Bodhidam Patanjalayam. Awesome.
Alright, you did it.
Yay.
You did it.
You
Alright.
did. Yes, you did.
No.
Okay. All right, so here's the part we do a little Reiki. So if you have anything specifically that you feel like you might have a blockage that kind of keeps you from doing things, keeps you in the same cycle or whatever, if you can just kind of visualize that and just see it kind of going up like smoke as I go around and do a little attunement, just help you clear any of those blockages. You're gonna like this part. You feel that vibration? Awesome. Yay. Yay.
Lotus, thanks. Wow.
Yes, and a lot of times the amethyst helps just to soothe that energy. Thank you all for joining.
Welcome.
You want to touch it? It's called an amethyst. It's a crystal. It helps us remember how special we are and unique, and helps us to stop trying to be like everybody else and just be ourselves.
Is that what, Mommy?
Awesome. Yes.
We done?
All right, so this is something that I do each week, Reiki Healing of the Mind. It's something to contemplate on that can just help you understand things a lot better.
A climate of understanding. If we could generate a climate of understanding, perhaps people wouldn't feel that they had to stick so rigidly to their own ideas, but could instead realize that other people's ideas have value too. So some sensible compromises could be reached. Contemplate this for a while today and see how it can help you in your life. Join the YouTube channel.
So when you join the YouTube, join the list
You want to join my YouTube? I love that. Thank you. Just like, join it.
Join the YouTube.
Oh, that's why I didn't let it finish. I was trying to figure out why it wouldn't let me go forward. It wasn't finished. There we go. All right. This just tells you about some of the services and different ways that Lotus Flower Wellness Temple can be there for you as support and everything on your path. want to say thank y'all so much for joining. And so now generally I do a podcast after the service and do some discussions or whatnot, but I'm not quite set up for that today yet. So we're just going to do it here now. If y'all want to have a little conversation about how you, anything that you might have any questions on about what we discussed or anything like that. And I'm just going to have a little seat here, sit with y'all. And if you have any questions too, little one, you can feel free to ask, okay? Awesome.
So do you do this every weekend?
I do every Sunday. So between 2 and 2:30, it's like fellowship. Yeah, everybody just getting to know each other, and then if there's any newcomers, just kind of catching them up to speed. And then at 2:30 we start service, and I stream it live as well.
What is that thing?
This is actually YouTube right here now. I'm on a live, so that I can help reach the whole world. Anybody that needs this information, that the divine is like tapping them on the shoulder and say, hey, this is for you.
No, this
So
was
they're
great.
available.
This was really great. Like I was doing my tarot readings the other day, and like I feel like I manifest us walking in here, and that's why I was like so emotional when I sat down. I was like, oh my god, this is so weird because everything you
that's so
went
great.
through was in my reading.
Yeah.
Like having to let go of the past and like all of that. So I was like, wow, that's a sign. And you were like, look at the signs.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, they're always there when we start to pay attention.
And being aware.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how we were just talking about, because we just moved here, and we're very powerful. I mean, like, me and Rachel, we feel like we've known each other in a past life, and like we did the 23andMe, you know, and we found out that we were both from Egypt a long time ago, originated and came here, Vikings, and I could go on. And,
Okay.
You know, I mean.
But he wanted to look into Buddhism,
Yeah, 'cause
and he was telling me that this was like.
all of my friends growing up were, you know, like I had two best friends who were Buddhists, and we would always sit down and meditate, and they would teach me like the teachings of Buddha.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that was so much. I really do. I like the way that you the calming, you know, kind of coming to your center of your chakra. You know,
Yeah.
The infinity. That was really beautiful.
Oh, you're gonna find if you start using it, you're gonna find that like that's a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, it's almost like a weapon, like of like to keep other things from controlling you. It really is gonna be a strong weapon
What is
for you.
that little the chime called?
So it's 532 hertz.
Yeah, it's not
And
420.
Yeah, it's 532.
Yeah.
It's about balance, harmony, and
Yes.
yeah, just peace and harmony, and find that balance and everything. So it's kind of representative of that center point. You know, that's where that happens is the center point, right? Balance and harmony. You've got your masculine and your feminine energy, your dark and your light energy. So tell me, what is balance, right? You're gonna have to work through all that and find, like, first of all, your authenticity of all of it, and then that's who you are. But a lot of people like to, oh, I'm so good, and so
Right.
they forego any of the parts that are not in alignment with that, and so then therefore they're kind of a liar. They're lying to themselves about their
Just
truth.
going along life just in kind of like the emotions and not really. And see, that's what me and Rachel have really worked on, because we're trying to be more aware of our surroundings, like you know, like I'm being a stepdad, you know, the steps, and listening and being aware to people who have that knowledge, you know,
Yeah.
understanding about that, and you know, instead of being like our dads, like, you know, being kind of aggressive and angry, and you know, breaking free from that, but this is very good because we're both kind of scatterbrained. You know, and that's what you're talking about is being aware
And
and
center
center
yourself
Yeah.
and know you're in the
Yeah.
here and now. And
Well, you
not
see
the
what it did for
past.
this little one, right?
Yeah,
So that
she
says
was
a
calm,
lot.
though. That was like the
That says
calmest
a-
I've seen her.
that says a lot.
I was like afraid that because she is one
Yeah.
of those that's like bouncing off the wall, you know, and she came in. and
There's
she
off the
was-
wall.
Yeah. But she is really this. I really do appreciate your.
Yes,
so we were
yeah.
just
Like
talking
some
about
people were
that.
saying, like if someone puts you in a bad mood, or how they react to you, or when you want to like snap on someone after you're in a bad mood, but you have to like center yourself because you can't project that out. So like you have
Right.
to align yourself. And do you have the restroom?
I do. Let me get the key for you.
Thank you.
So right when you walk out the door, go straight to the wall, and it's right there. Just walk to the
I'll
right.
be right back.
Sure. Yeah. So while they're in the bathroom,
Mhm.
where did y'all move from?
Well, I was originally a traveler, and she kind of she's a traveler as well. She was from I believe New York or I believe West Virginia, somewhere around there. No, but Rachel was born in Orlando. 2 years later, she moved to New York, and then her parents moved to West Virginia, and now, you know, she kind of went through some stuff, and you know, like we all do, always do through life, you know, I went through some stuff, and wound up. I'm originally from Houston, grew up in Houston, and my grandfather passed away, and I moved to Mississippi. We had a farm out there, lived out there for about 5 years, and my mother started kind of needing some help. We moved to Dothan, Alabama, found us a house, a little hut house, fixed it up for her.
Okay.
And I started doing, getting into hazmat, just kind of going like what you're talking about. You know?
Yeah.
You treat people, you know, you help people, you know, and it comes back. Like I was helping this, I wound up at a job in operations at ACE, and it's amazing if you're projecting like you're talking about, projecting that good, more of that energy towards people and being able to solve problems for them. You know, like this one guy, my old boss, you know, he knew me for 5 years. He'd come in there and ask for me to help him with this project, you know, because I knew, you know, what to do. And we're
Yeah.
real good with, you know, building and you know, problem solving, fixing, you know, and it's real cool how you brought that up with the knitting and all that, the arts and the crafts, because
Yeah.
that's right up Rachel's alley. That's what she does. I mean, she is really into that stuff.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to get out of our head and just be in the flow.
And I
For a
mean,
while.
you'd be amazed. I mean, and I'm sure you've, from your teachings, you know, kind of met certain people and known, and then all of a sudden you had no idea what they were, their profession was or something, you know, and they need some help. And right at that perfect moment, it's like, you know, you just kind of slip into something.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
like I was working at ACE, and just by helping this guy, I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know he owned his own business, but I was helping him with all his projects. And they went through a management change, and they got this 27-year-old store manager, and I kind of apologize, I'll talk a lot, but
No, you're
I go on
perfect. You're
stories
perfect.
and adventures with my past, you know, and so he left. This was like in the COVID pandemic, you know. He left, and he came back, and he thought that I had a problem, and it was like, you know, being in operations, I didn't want to be store manager too. Store manager, they're supposed to handle certain other stuff. Operations is supposed to handle problem solving, ordering POs, all that stuff, you know, and fixing and building and taking care of the store, you know, instead of the other. So he disappeared, so I'm doing everything. He'd come back, and there was all kind of customers complaining, and he was just like, oh, well, Colin can do it. By the way, my name's Colin. And so it kind of became kind of a, you know, I couldn't really, you know, it wasn't a mill, just kind of in and out. And he came back and had kind of an issue, and came in and he wasn't really talking, but he told the new general manager I had a problem with him, which I didn't really. I'm kind of easygoing. I was just busy doing everything, taking care of everything. You know,
Yeah.
I can't really, so it's like, well, no, I don't want to talk to him. And he's kind of looking down and he's still manager. It's like, no, it's not that I have a problem with you. I'm just trying to cover for damage control for all these customers that are complaining, and I can't get in touch with you. They can't get in touch with you. So that's kind of the issue here. It's not that I don't like you. I'm just kind of, trying damage control, and then the GM's like, well, we can do it without you. It's like, okay, all right. Well, then he's like, just still keeping a positive aura.
Yeah.
That's how I've always been. It's like, all right, well, I mean, that's the way he feels, but we don't want to. It's like, okay, well, which one is it? I just don't know. We don't want to. So kind of the next day.
Hi, welcome
Are you guys
in.
open right now? Or
We are, yes. Welcome in. We're Lotus Flower Wellness Temple. We're a nonprofit, so make yourselves absolutely at home. Let me know if you're interested in anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Love a new place. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
But it's amazing, like I said, on the path, the journey of life, that kind of set in motion, well, alright, and I just kind of, like, I said my piece, and I was like, alright, so, next week I was like, I just kind of had to talk to my family and talk to some certain people, and I didn't want the keys to that store anymore. I would still do it, but I didn't want the keys. It just felt like I wasn't wanted. And so
Yeah.
I gave the keys back, but I didn't quit. And they kind of just was like, whoa. I just didn't feel the good energy anymore. I didn't want to, be involved in that bad energy.
Right.
So, but I didn't want to just quit and leave. And because of course you need to live.
Last
So-
week was right livelihood.
Yeah.
So,
you
yeah,
can't just-
last week we discussed right livelihood, and it's all about that the way that you shine your light in the work that you do.
Right.
And
you
it
don't
can be
need
done in
people
any
hating you.
profession,
You don't
for the
wanna
most
hurt,
part. Right.
what you're doing, because you're all those years of putting in to that profession, and all those people that you built that,
Yes.
relation with, or whatever, you don't wanna just quit that, and I'm glad I didn't. And that's why they say don't just quit your job, don't walk out, and I did let them know, it's like, well, I just, I still wanna help you out, but it's not in the operations
Yeah.
field, and, so I kinda went with that, and, then I kept going to work, there was 2 owners at one time, and one sold off to the other owner, Art, and he really liked me, but his general manager was a little bit, he kinda, I don't know if he liked me or not, but he just didn't know. And so he came, and he asked me, he was like, "Colin, are you alright?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm great, I'm great." And just, he was just kinda like, okay. He was real cool, I liked Art. I just didn't kind of meld with the other,
Yeah.
so that, it was amazing because it was like 3 days before, I was going on vacation that I handed my keys in, but I wasn't quitting.
Yeah.
They wanted me to stay, other people had the keys, I was just kind of handing that off, that responsibility off to someone else, since they said they didn't need it. I didn't feel like I was needed, and, so that was a couple days before, I had went on vacation, and, Dwayne Buckaloo has a kind of a weird name, real cool guy, really like him. I've known him for 5 years, was off while I was working at his. I told him, I was like, I don't like talking about my customers, I don't want to talk to my customers in a negative way, so I didn't really tell him like what all was going on.
Yeah.
But I told him, I was like, yeah, I really don't know how long I'm going to be here now, and he was like, really? Well, I just had a guy in my profession now, they can random drug test you, like any day, and that's the government, like DOT will drug test
Yeah.
you, and you have to, because hazmat is one of those fields, you have to, be legit, sober. And, so he didn't wanna do it. Maybe a couple days, so he had to fire him. And it wasn't him, that was what they do, and he thought that guy, so anyway, he got fired. And he was like, well, you wanna come ride with me, and see if you like it? I'm like, well, what do you do? Well, maybe it's hazmat, we deliver cylinders and welding supplies to customers, and, you'd have to go and get your, but anyway, went on this long journey, and that was the beginning of what, I got into in hazmat, and I was telling her how, kind of pathways of life.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I worked there for about 2 years, kind of learned it the old-fashioned way. We didn't even have a computer and really email. So he kind of taught me, the ways, all that, basically. And so I worked there, and he sold out to the company I'm working for. And I wound up going on to the traveling part, traveling for somebody to fire or whatever, if somebody needed to get covered for the vacation. And it's amazing how, like you were talking about being aware, I'm pretty aware, and so is Rachel. She's wide awake.
That's
It's
beautiful.
amazing how we met, because I was traveling, and I've always, for like about 16 years, I've just been kind of, getting myself right, fixing myself, learning how to fix myself, and it's been a struggle, but I finally came to that part, to where that, me and Rachel, she is everything I'm not. We met, she was a hotel operator at night, and all the time, she'd wake me up at 5. One morning we met, we had known each other for about a month, and one morning we met, I was looking for coffee, and I'm like, well, do you have any coffee? And she was like, no, there's no coffee, but I can make you some tea. It has caffeine in it.
He knew caffeine wasn't in tea. He was just like, yeah.
So we're talking, and I drank that tea, and we got to talking a little bit.
What's that?
And as I was walking out, I just had this feeling like, I need to tell her what I feel about it. And so I kind of just stopped, and I turned around, and I was like, are you seeing anybody? She was like, no.
So I was going through a
Going
divorce.
through a
He was like,
divorce.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Sweet,
The way it happened, though, it felt like it was meant to be. And I had met a lady a while ago through my path, and she kind of gave me a reading, and she told me that it was pretty crazy. She was pretty on point. Like, she told me that my dad was going to pass away from something with his kidneys. A month later, my dad was healthy. A month later, his kidneys got nicked during a surgery and had internal bleeding, had it veins. So she was telling me that my debt was paid in my past life, and that I would know what that meant when it happened. And meeting him again, it felt like, 'cause I had a reoccurring dream ever since I was little, and he showed me a picture of himself, and it's so weird how, like, in past lives we're different people, but that was the person I saw in my dream. And, like, it was crazy. It's like, and I always felt like someone I loved was taken from me, like, ever since I was little. So it's like everything is full circle. Like, you just have to follow your path, like you said, and just keep going with that knowing, like, that something's gonna happen. You don't know what, but it's gonna happen. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Aw.
Yeah.
I had a recurring dream too, but
Yeah, his mom told me about that, about his dream. I was like, oh wow, that's
I
crazy.
said goodbye to my love, I remember I looked at her, and it was always like a blur, and it was about a couple months after we met, and we're standing in the hall and kind of put her hair under her ears, and it was just nipping. I was like, that's her. You or her. You know? And I said goodbye to her in the dream. It was a recurring dream. And then there was a bunch of us, and we were kind of dirty with like wooden shields, kind of like a last stand type of thing, and we were charging towards these people that had shiny brass, you know, armored, and I ran straight into like a spear. It was over. And I mean, and then we met. I guess.
It was telling that we need to go to like something for her, because when I was gone for a little bit, but when I came back home, my mother had her, so she like had her going to Christian schools. Being young and being raised by a Pentecostal is very traumatic. Like, I'm not, everybody's religion, it's great because it's a message and it's something for them to believe in, and they need that. But the way that some people do it, it's awful. Like, they just force it on you, you know? So I was looking for a temple for her to kind of like get into it. So this is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, she seemed to be
Yeah.
receiving
She
it
likes it,
pretty well. How old is
Yeah.
she? Like 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's pretty impressive. Hi, welcome in.
Hello.
Hi, make yourself at home. We're Lotus Flower Wellness Temple. We're just having a nice little discussion here, but make yourself at home. Everything's on a donation basis too.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely great. Yeah, I'd love to see y'all every Sunday.
Yeah, no, we definitely will come. I like it. Your crystals. It said crystal, like, joining?
Oh,
What is
you
that?
saw the intuitive crystal pool
Yeah.
on there. Oh, so the idea behind it is we have, of course, the wall of crystals. But what happens is your ego brain looks at the wall of crystals and it says, ooh, I like this color. Or, ooh, I feel comfortable with this energy. So what the divine called me to do was do what I call the intuitive crystal pool. So I bagged up a lot of crystals that I did an attunement on. And so it's a closed bag. And what I do is I have the person hold the bag of crystals with their power hand. I do an attunement to connect you with the bag of crystals. And then you reach in with your receiver hand and you let your soul pick for you. And it's always about ascension. So it's about a level up. It's about moving higher in your consciousness and vibration, because these crystals are like teachers.
Right.
And so, but what your ego brain is going to do is it's going to look at the wall and pick a color that you like or an energy you're already familiar with.
Yeah.
Because it's about keeping us in a protected space.
Yeah,
And
comfort.
that's not where evolution is, right? You have to be willing to move out of that comfort zone to be able to grow. And so that's what the intuitive crystal pool does, is aligns you up with a crystal that your soul picks for you instead of your ego brain.
Okay. What did something like that be? How much is that?
Generally it's like a $20 donation, and you get, so I tell you about the crystal that you align up with, and then we pick out a necklace for you and we put it on and everything, and so you're familiar with with your teacher essentially, and you know all about it, and the name and everything, and all of its spiritual energies as well as healing properties and such. So it's really awesome. And every person, with an exception for a handful of people that were out of towners, everybody's brought back a family member or a friend to do it that's done it. Like,
I'm already thinking about, like, my mom definitely needs to come here and like
Yeah.
get some of your energy.
well,
this
what's
is
crazy
awesome.
with the intuitive crystal pool too is it's funny because a person will, after I tell them all this stuff, they're like, yeah, I wouldn't pick this for myself, but that's exactly what I need.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny how that operates. Something else that I do is really cool. In the candle making workshops that we do, we make soy candles in a workshop, and I show people exactly how to make it. But because I'm also a Reiki master, I offer
that's
to everyone,
Wow.
at the end, I offer, as it's setting up, if they want to put their hands around the candle and envision an energy or a manifestation, something that they would like to pull more of that energy or manifest in their life. And so I allow them to do that, and I kind of talk you through it while I do an attunement to lock that energy into the candle. And then afterwards, generally the people that have me do that, I'll ask them, would you like for me to tell you the essential oils that you picked, what their properties are? And every single time, the energies of the essential oils that they picked always align up with what they manifested without even knowing. And so it's like mind blowing to them to see that you naturally, if you just trust your natural instincts and by the way of that, and of course do the work to clear off any like scar reactions, so you're not reacting from your scars or fear. That takes a little bit of work to do, but then you can start to trust your natural impulse to grab and select things. So it's just beautiful how people realize at the end, wow, my soul already had me. I naturally just gravitated to the things that I already needed.
What day do you do
So,
that?
so we have one at 3:00 on Saturdays, and then also scheduled, where you can just schedule one, and then we'll work it out when I'm available, and also you're available.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's about a $25 donation, and everybody makes per person, and everybody makes a 15-hour burn candle.
Oh wow.
Yeah, start to finish, from like putting the wick in, all the way down till the end of snipping the wick at the end. So yeah,
Can I
Right up.
schedule after this? Can we schedule
absolutely,
something?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
A great time.
I definitely feel like my mother would benefit from that.
Yeah, and then we do sit paint zins every Saturday and Sunday, so it's a
That's
painting
what I was
party
looking at.
at 5:00, and that's really great too. So yeah, we definitely
You
offer
just paint,
a
like,
good
right
amount
beside
of.
you? Or what do you paint?
So well, generally we have an idea of what we're gonna do. Like this is today at 5.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And this project right here can actually give you some skills and a lot of confidence as an artist that you can apply to any project. Because what I do is we just literally just take it real simple. First you start with your background. It doesn't even have to be anything yet. Just get your colors on there. And the blending, and then we build. And so when you keep moving through, not trying to make it perfect, not thinking, oh, this doesn't look like a tree, but you just keep moving through, and then it all comes together when you add the shadows and the light and everything. So if you want to see too. But then also there's always the freedom to create whatever you want. And then sometimes if people say, oh, I want to make an energy totem, then we will do it that route. So that's always up for whatever the group wants to do as well. But I always have a prepared project too. And then of course with any prepared project that I do, you could change all your colors. You can make it daytime. You can so much you can do to it to make it your own. But yeah, that's essentially the way that works out.
Okay. What's the donation on that? And what
20.
day? 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that covers all your art supplies and everything.
Nice. What day is it?
Saturday and Sunday at 5.
Okay, so it's always Saturday and Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so.
Awesome. So I'm gonna stop this live now. Just wanted to get this in there. Thank you everyone for joining, and I will see you next week. Let me stop this now.